Welcome to Booked All Night, a late-night podcast about young adult literature and sometimes middle grade, because middle grade is always super fun. Hosted by myself, Jessica Tuckerman, Magdalene Ann,
Heyo.
and our latest edition, he likes contemporary, he's super tall, his beard makes him look like a young Rip Van Winkle, it's Daniel Stanton.
Hello.
Fair warnings include language spoiler and rude-ass pets. Look at you, Plumpkin, but we put him away, so
we did put him
no
away.
pet spoilers today. Be sure to subscribe to Booked All Night on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcast fix, and leave a nice old 5-star review of the show before you go. Then make sure to visit bookedallnight.blog for more book reviews, book tours, roundups, and to sign up for our newsletter. On tonight's episode, we're discussing Kaui, Hart, Hemmings, Testimony from Your Perfect Girl, which published May 14th, 2019. And we are recording on May 18th, 2019. Let's get started. And starting off, what are you currently reading outside of this book?
I am currently listening to Nemesis by Brendan Reichs.
Floppy chicken boobs?
Yeah, that's the one where there was legitimately there was a line, there's a description of a person falling down, and it goes, and I quote, "He dropped like a boneless chicken breast."
Like a boneless chicken breast. Davis, do you drop like boneless chicken breasts?
Only on Wednesdays.
What are you reading?
Right now, I just started a advanced copy of a book called Not All Migrate by Christina Byers. That I met her at AWP.
Oh, nice.
It's about a couple that the wife dies from an overdose, and he continues to do drugs, and then gets a new girlfriend. And I was excited to read it because I was at a reading and there's a necrophilia scene, and I was like, "Man, you guys want to talk about dark? Let's get dark."
Oh my!
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
awkward.
Yeah, it was really pretty, and you don't really realize it's necrophilia until the character realizes it, because he doesn't realize the girl's dead.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my!
It was weird.
What the fuck are you reading?
Not All Migrate by Christina Byers.
He likes contemporary. He likes necrophilia.
Oh God.
Damn, Stanton.
Oh gosh.
I'm currently reading Serpent and Dove and
imagine that, yeah.
Here There Are Monsters, and there's another arc I have, but they don't come out till September, October, and November, respectively.
Yeah, I've put a hold on all of my arcs for the time being because none of them come out earlier than August.
Yeah.
Mostly because I DNF'd the one that I had coming out in June. Because it was just like early 2000s urban fantasy in the vein of like House of Night.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, no.
Except with gargoyles.
Hey.
Hey, gargoyles.
Yeah. It was not fun.
No.
It was. I don't know if this was the author's first foray into YA, but she has written plenty of other books, but they were all verging on adult romance. And this one was a spin-off of another series that she had written, and there was just a lot missing, like, for a first-time reader, so I was like, yeah. I'm also reading, what did I pick up from the library? I pick up so many books from the library now that I get to have first pick up all the new ones that are coming in, because I'm the one that processes the new books I'm reading.
She cheats a little on her
I
TBR.
cheat a little bit. Elise Allen's Twin Chantment, which is about two twins who are not supposed to be publicly out as twins because magic is banned and twins are magical and they're princesses and they have to pretend to be one princess, and then their mom gets...
Classic.
Who is it by?
Elise Allen? Elise Allen.
Elise Allen.
Yes. I have gotten 10 pages in and there's a lot of info dump. There's an info, there's like a document and then a prologue and then chapter 1, and like most of that is info dump.
That sounds fun. I'm about to work my way through Aurora Rising, which is Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, who did the Illuminae series, that I have, a giant
boner
for.
Yeah.
Is that what's poking me in the leg?
It is. It's my giant boner for hybrid novels. But it's not I flipped through it just to see how many artifacts they would do in this one, and it's significantly less ambitious than Illuminae was.
Yeah.
But I'm also only 5 pages into it, so I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy that.
I really like Amy Kaufman's writing. I just finished her middle grade. But the sequel that came out for her middle grade series, she's doing the Elementals. Mm-hmm. First one was Ice Wolves. Now it's Scorched Dragons that came out last month, I think. Very good middle grade. She does a really good job.
Anything coming up after your
after the Necrofield?
That
one comes out June 4th. She's going to be in Philly, so I'm excited to see her. Next I'm reading A Kind of Paradise by Amy Rebecca Tan.
Ooh.
It just came out when I think she works at the Inkwood bookstore in Haddonfield.
Oh, in Haddonfield.
Yeah,
where
over there.
Yeah.
And they had a whole big release party for her and
that's exciting.
surprised her with the release party. It was super cool.
I
was
super cool.
Oh, I saw it on Instagram, picked it up.
Those local authors, they're always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm reading something by Gary D. Schmidt. What is it? Pay Attention, Carter Jones.
No! Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's about,
There's a dog on the cover, so I love it.
There's a dog on the cover. I don't know, it's about a kid that, they get a butler because they find out that their, dad's dad was crazy wealthy, and part of his will is the butler now goes and works for them, which I was like, that's weird. So it, starts out very, oh, I'm British, chip, chop, chip, and you're American, chip, chop, chip, and I'm going to teach you how to play cricket. And I was like, what is this? Because, I've read Orbiting Jupiter by Gary D. Schmidt, which is, dark the entire time,
so they're also
and then
a
sad.
1990s, very poorly funded presentation of Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
That's how it felt. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, what is this? Come on, Gary. Come on, Gary. And then all of a sudden, it gets
Gary.
real sad out of nowhere.
Oh,
and it
no.
just, hooks you. And I was like, oh, God, thank you. That's that not so colorful cover I was looking for.
I had that reaction when I read The Handmaid's Tale.
Come on, Margaret!
Come on, Margaret! No, there was... I was, really bored up front, because the writing is pretty dry, and then there's a part about midway through when she's about getting ready to, resist and rebel, outwardly, and not just, fuck this guy while she's,
Is getting fucked by that guy.
Is getting fucked by that guy.
Yeah.
And you turn the page and she's walking down the street and then the page turn happens. She's like, I should steal something. I'm like, clearly I missed something.
There was a moment like that in Nemesis. So the concept of Nemesis is this girl has been getting killed every 2 years since she was 8, and she keeps coming back the next morning.
Did I write this?
I don't know. Did you write about boneless chicken breasts?
I mean, I write some weird shit when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I just...
It's really, but there's also a doomsday scenario. There's a meteor coming to destroy all of the earth.
You're not convincing me I didn't write this.
But there is a scene the night before they find out whether or not the anvil, which is this giant earth-breaking asteroid that's about to strike, is going to hit or miss, because it's got a 50-50 shot of
anvils don't strike. You strike anvils. I'm already mad.
Thinking that too. I was like...
but there's a scene where her best friend is getting bullied, and she stands up for him, and the bully is a prick the entire time. And as soon as they leave, she turns around and goes, "Hey, look, I see Ethan, the bully's Jeep over there." And then her friend's like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?" And she just goes over, takes a rag, and just lights the shit on fire. And I'm like, all right, that took a
doing
hard
nothing,
turn.
absolutely nothing to convince me I didn't write this book.
Yeah, you probably would have written this book. You might like it. Mm-hmm. Questionable metaphors aside.
The anvil.
Oh,
The anvil,
yeah.
and also the boneless chicken breasts. Just the funniest fucking thing.
I'm hungry. We should get chicken for lunch when we're done this podcast.
100%.
I was thinking that too. I was like, I could go for some buffalo chicken now.
getting into discussion of this contemporary novel. Back copy reads as Annie Tripp has everything she needs: Italian sweaters, vintage chandelier earrings, and elite ice skating lessons that we never fucking see. Nope. But all that changes when her father is accused of scamming hundreds of people out of their investments. Annie knows her dad isn't at fault, but she and her brother are still exiled to their estranged aunt and uncle's house in a rundown part of Breckenridge, at least until the trial blows over. Life in Breckenridge isn't quite up to Annie's usual standard of living, but she still manages to make friends, get a crush, or two, and realize that she has more in common with her aunt and uncle than she ever wanted to know. As the family's lies begin to crumble and truths demand consequences, Annie must decide which secrets need to see the light of day and which are worth keeping. So... let's talk about the opening first, because I think we all had some...
Fuck that opening.
Yeah.
We were sitting at a Chili's getting dinner, and I started to read this book, and I read one paragraph, and I looked up at you, and I was just like...
Disappointed,
and I was like, why the fuck would you recommend this book for us? Like, why would you say yes to both of us having to read this book? But then I kept going.
Three of us
now.
Now we can just give these books to Daniel.
Yeah.
You know, like I was bored up front. Mm-hmm. Like a little intrigued because something has obviously happened.
Yes.
And that's, of course, we find out like, oh, her friend's dad is testifying against her, her father, and testifying. Something happened. There's charges. If you didn't read the back copy, that's like some cementing there. But she's just trying on sweaters.
Yeah,
and
like I can kind of see where she might have been going with it. Where like later there's this huge thing about her clothing, like her clothing choice is what makes her stand out in Breckenridge. And, like, I can see where she's trying to kind of make the parallel of who she was and who she becomes. Mm-hmm. But, like, we don't know that part yet. So, at the beginning, we're just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not, like...
It felt like Everyday Rich Girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, my first note I think I wrote in the book was, like, I don't like rich people. I was like, I don't like rich people going into this. And you're not making me, like
them more.
Like you more. And so when bad things happen to you, me is like...
Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
You deserve this. Like, eat the rich. Yeah.
Eat them like chicken breast.
Yeah, like boneless chicken breast. So, like, that, I don't know, that commentary where it was, like, the rich, like, the haves and the have-nots, that entire, and that kind of runs through it the entire time. That part I've found to be the least interesting. So it did, like, starting out with that, did, like, be like, man, I'm glad that, like, way later there's a couple things that I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I would have liked as an opening scene? Because we never see it in the book. Her losing her ice skating instructor.
I would have liked to see anything with ice skating.
Yes.
She talks about it constantly. She's like, well, I should be at the rink. I used to be at the rink.
She goes to an ice skating rink, but then still doesn't ice skate.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm like...
She can't handle one run with her aunt and their, children, mother's children's and whatnot.
Yeah, she simultaneously has a super, like, she says like not to brag, but yeah, I know I have a good body, but then also cannot go for a run. And I'm like, this is a fascinating, like, you're an elite competitive ice skater, but can't run. I don't know.
I will say this, all right, so if you are very athletic, taking 2 to 3 days off from your normal routine will absolutely win you. True to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But didn't she go on the run like day one? We also don't know how long it's been since she's been ice skating.
Well, that's too. I know you and I have talked about that, where it says like, oh, I lost my instructor, but it's really unclear about when that happened in relation to what happens in this book.
Because it seems recent enough for her to still be, like, touchy about, because when her brother makes fun of her reactions to some things, I'm like, did she think teenagers talk this way? Because she's like, fuck you, you, like, gutter slut, or, like, something, like, along those lines, and I was like, well, like,
to be fair, I talked like that when I was a teen.
Yeah, like,
I called everyone a gutter slut.
Yeah, so it's, like, a fresh enough wound that, like, she's upset, but then... I'm not. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how long.
Like I liked the sibling relationship, and I can kind of see where she was going with the whole like calling each other gutter sluts. But I think that was like...
I don't think it was gutter
slut. Gutter slut, title of the episode.
Because, like, I can see, like, siblings will fight and they'll call each other names, but, like, gutter slut! Gutter slut!
I marked more than a few places where the teen voice really just kind of disappears for a little bit. And it was... There's, like, a couple really awkward moments. What did I write here? I wrote, I feel attacked. What did I underline?
Probably something about pizza.
He almost looks like a college student, the kind who doesn't graduate on
time.
Oh, right. I feel attacked.
It's almost like Jessica's been in college for 11 years.
I really like that part. I was like, cool description.
It was an apt description. Jessica just is angry.
Yeah, no, there's a few places where it doesn't fit the genre and it doesn't fit the age category, which is here on 25. It's since I'm supposed to be hiding, maybe it's time to change my destiny again. And it doesn't really feel like a contemporary wording.
No, that's something you hear in like a fantasy.
Even sci-fi, I think, gets away with that. But
more speculative than contemporary. Listen,
Schenectady?
Shinnikitty.
Skinny
Yeah, no, there was a lot of parts where like she's like super knowledgeable about like pregnancies and like how people who are struggling with pregnancies work, but then also like has no like social cues, which it felt very drastic for her to be like a socialite at school. Like she has friends but supposedly lost all her friends, but now she also doesn't know how to talk to people, and I'm like, so then did you really lose friends? Like if you don't know how to have friends, how can you lose friends? Like one of those like backwards kind of like
even acquaintances, because I think it's pretty clear from that opening scene that these people were never her friends. But C, who becomes like a problem later on, you know, she's like, why won't you talk to me? Like, well, you fucked up my life. Like, you and your family fucked up, and I hate you.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
But, yeah, she just beats the shit out of this man.
I love that. That was amazing. When C just like, I was like, can I just write this scene 100 times? I'm just like, just
like, take a fucking hit!
Yeah, I was like, killing it. She like clocks Jay too, and he goes down, and I was like, hell yeah! I was like, C's a badass. Like, I want more C in this book, unless.
No, that was.
I do wish we had more C.
Yeah,
just for that.
I do too. I wish there were just
judo
more C.
champion in Kansas now.
I won't read that book.
I just wish there were more scenes where Annie got her ass kicked.
I mean, there were a lot of good scenes though in this book. Like, there were a lot of fucking amazing scenes. Literally fucking amazing scenes. Like this, like the scene where she finds a romance.
No, listen.
Okay.
I can sum this up perfectly. I gave you a blowjob.
Hands down the best thing I've ever read. I was like, that was amazing.
That
I was like,
great.
So that was when she was redeemed for me. I was like, I don't need the rest of this book. I was like, she's redeemed in that.
Yeah, so she ends up having a bit of a romance with, she ends up working at her uncle's restaurant, and
Is that a romance?
she thinks it's a romance.
Yeah,
she believes it's a romance. She
the
ends
guy
up
calls her
having...
dishwasher, and she thinks it's a romance, and I was like, man, you're like my kind of girl. I'm kidding.
Is it because of the New Year's blowjobs, Daniel?
Hey, like a first date blowjob? That's a solid.
It's not even a first date blowjob.
First date.
It's the first we got a little buzzed in the fucking woods on a holiday blowjob. It's not even
holiday
a date.
blowjobs.
But he's basically
Ring in
a
the
prick
new
the
year.
entire time.
Low in the new year.
Amazing. It was like
That's one kind of firework you'll get. Woo!
I love that. I do wish I mean, I don't, because I'd be like, I would roll my eyes at, but I did imagine it being like 3, 2, 1. Boom. But then she said she has a bad taste in her mouth later.
Listen,
so
it tastes like crap,
It
alright?
does.
But no, she like says it to her aunt later when she's smoking with her aunt. She's like, yeah, I got a bad taste in my mouth. And then she's like, oh, poor joke. I was like, best joke.
Listen. In that scene when she's talking to her aunt afterwards, she's like, I have a bad taste in my mouth. I just see it like, my mouth tastes like dick. Like, all right, I feel like maybe that's something you don't share, but all right.
Yeah.
Why is it that both of the awesome scenes in this book revolve around sex? Because there was that other scene where she's with the other guy and they're having bros. Yes, they're having the hoo-ha. Yes, thank you.
We just
Daniel.
said blowjob. I think you can say they have sex.
You can't say the sex word.
Don't say the sex sex word, Jessica.
I literally just screamed into this microphone that I gave you a blowjob. I think we could say.
Oh, that's a soundbite you're not going to want
There's an
isolated.
old man outside, and I know he can't hear us, but I hope he does.
There's an old man outside.
Jessica's neighbor. Oh, goodness.
No, I think you're right. You know, both the sex scenes. One, you know, they're not visceral, so it's not.
They're
like,
not Sarah J. Maas.
There's not Sarah J. Maas. He's sheathed himself inside me. All right, it's not vivid.
Bringing Dan on this podcast is a good idea.
Listen, when I listened to that book, by the way, so all the sex scenes were read to me, and I'm like, I need to turn my car radio down. Nobody can know that I'm listening to smut on my way to work.
Meanwhile, I listen to murder mysteries in the car.
I would rather people hear my murder mysteries than sex scenes in my car. In any case,
Yes.
you know, there is something very real about the experience that she has where she gives a guy a blowjob. She's like, oh my god, he like totally likes me, because she's so naive. And she goes in the next day and she doesn't understand one night stands.
Nope.
Yeah.
And you know,
Which
she
is
gets
beautiful.
really mad about it. But I think we're all in agreement here that was the first moment of connection to her, where we're like, yeah, you stand up for yourself. You gave him that blowjob.
Especially, Ricky was like, damn, you kind of owned that moment. And I was like, yes,
bless
you did.
Ricky. I love Ricky.
I wanted her.
Favorite gay aunt.
I wanted Ricky and her to bang, but
I thought that they would, and
I
then they
really
didn't.
thought.
I really wanted.
when it said like a crush or two, I was like, all right, whatever Van, like whatever douchey name he had, because I was like, oh, he's a douchebag. Clearly, like you
Yeah.
could tell he was
Was it
from like
Nate?
the
He was every douchebag you've ever
Nat.
known.
Like it's not even
Nat.
Nate, right? It's
Yeah.
like he's like Chad is essentially his name, and like no offense, Chads.
Full offense, Chads. Full offense.
Yeah, but like, so I was like, all right, come on, let's not really count that as a crush. I was like, Ricky, because like they had a couple like flirty scenes, and like Ricky is like, yeah, you know, my girlfriend like gets upset when I talk to girls, and like she like notices Ricky's body a bunch, and like she was very aware of like
Brought up like that whole
Like, yeah.
the girlfriends being jealous.
yeah,
thing
like
a
that brought that up, and she's like notices women's bodies like a lot of the book. So I was really
In
hoping
detail.
Embrace your bisexuality, please.
like
Embrace it like your Italian sweaters.
I don't like boob girl that works at the restaurant. Her name's like Jessica or something, but like how
Boob girl.
she describes her just her
Boob girl.
boobs the whole time, which like
To be
were
fair, I
great.
mean,
It,
my
It's
boobs
hard
are
not to,
huge.
hard not to notice your tatas.
yeah, when what Skip grazes the boob, I was like, hell yeah,
Graze,
my
graze
style.
that boob.
Graze that boob.
Graze it.
But like I was like I was really hoping she was gonna like check out some ladies more than just their bodies, but
Yeah.
like she checks out her aunt, which was
Weird.
Weird.
so weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like the way she spoke about her aunt, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
incest porn, cool.
There was one other part about sex. I was looking for it for the specific line where it's pretty early on, but she's talking about like, I don't want to have sex for like ever because I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm like, that's fine. That's like an okay way to
There's a
look
lot
at
of
that.
sex positivity in the book.
Yeah, I did
and-
like that.
But it's the line, I wish I had a best friend I could do it with for practice.
yes.
And I'm like, that is a really weird sentiment. Like, not someone to talk to about it.
Just a banging buddy.
Just a banging buddy to be like, I guess that doesn't go there. Like, it was really, really, really weird to me. And is it weird because I'm old? Because the two of you were smiling at each
No.
other like, I had a fuck buddy.
my-
I think
No.
it's weird because you've probably done that in your life before, Jessica.
No.
My first time
Yeah,
was with a
okay.
friend, so that we could just like both like figure out what to do. So I was like, actually, that's it. I was like, yo, I get it.
My first time was with an asshole in bunk in bunk beds.
I thought you said bunts. I was like, geez, Louise.
Yeah, I waited until I was almost 30 to lose my
I was
virginity.
like, what? What is happening? Like, I was
Yeah.
like, what? Sorry,
I do want to talk about when she loses her virginity.
I did. I I thought that was a cool scene.
I thought that was
'Cause-
a really well
really
done
good-
scene.
How she's like thinking about everything. Like she's just like, like looking up, like just like bored that it's happening until she's like, oh, that kind of felt nice. And like she's like, am I making the right noises? And he was like, did that, like, I was like, yeah, that's like. And when he later on says, she was like, that was my first time. And he was like, yeah, no, I could tell.
And then literally 2 seconds later, the entire family walks in.
The
fucking brother.
First it's a brother, right?
You were crying.
First her brother walks in, right? And isn't that what he says? He's like, I thought you were
I thought you were crying. I heard something. I thought you were crying. I guess it was.
And then he's like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening?
And then the uncle walks in.
Yeah, then the uncle walks
And she's just like on the floor wrapped in her sheets.
Okay, like,
Because she like fell out of the goddamn bed.
her brother like introduces himself.
and of course Bros works for the uncle, so he's like, I respect your niece very much. I am so he's like, God, just get dressed and get out of my house. He's like, I need you to turn around. I have no pants.
Oh, it was the best goddamn scene of the entire. I was reading that scene at work, by the way, so it's a lot of fun being surrounded by children's librarians and reading a sex scene.
Yeah, here's some of those key phrases for when she loses that. He smiles, bites his lip, and looks down at my stomach and begins to rev back up. He's getting strong and creative with his thrusts, and then he looks at me, his kind face looking pained, like he just found out his grandma died. He lets out a constrained whimper grunt and falls back on top of me. I let out a hum. I just don't know how to do this or what I'm supposed to say. I don't know if that was all it was supposed to be for me. I feel like there's more road ahead. His breath is warm on my neck. His hands slowly release their grip on me. And here's the one I underlined. There's a penis in me right now. How long will it be there, and do I take it out?
I was like, yep. That's...
I mean, it's very reminiscent of a first time sex. Like, it's very realistic.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
I mean, like,
come
it's
on,
funny, and
come
it
on.
sounds like I'm, like, poking fun at the writing there, but, like, no, it really is
yeah.
very
It's like
realistic.
I think it's
who
like
the fuck
a
didn't think
genuine
there's a
first
goddamn
time.
penis in me when they're having sex for the first time? Like, that's...
I will
It's
say I
weird.
paid more attention to the bunk beds the first time I had sex, and I'm just like, this is rocking back. Is this? But this is terrible. Like, and I think, you know, like, your first time especially is always terrible. It's always bad. And you're like, this is what people want to do all the time.
I thought it was awesome. I was like, this is great. I love everything. The world is a beautiful place. I did like the
I see
condom
trees.
conversations.
Oh my god.
I was like, yay! I was like a young adult novel that talks about condoms. That's cool. Like,
Well,
and
especially
not
if
and not
it's-
like instructional. It's
Yes,
like,
but, like,
Yeah.
it brings it up, yeah.
yeah. Instead
also-
of
I was worried that they weren't a factor in the scene. I'm like, oh god, is there
Yep.
going to be like a whole birth control? Like,
yeah, because like there's already like so much pregnancy.
I
in
know
the
how
book.
her aunt's getting a baby. No.
Yeah, like yeah, like that's
Surprise, it's your granddaughter.
She was like, I looked down and to see if the condom's still on, and I was like, dope, condoms, and then he pockets it.
All right.
No,
Gross condom story. Gross condom story for the man.
no, Jessica, no. We need to eat later. No.
No, because it happens and it's terrible. Like, when a guy has a condom that doesn't fit him correctly and it comes off inside you, and you have to pull that out.
I've heard this story and I hate this.
But it's awkward, but it should be talked about because,
Yes.
like, teens especially, like, what's sex ed nowadays? Like, there are condoms, don't touch them.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think you have to have that, and that paranoia, that's showing that, you know, like, there's not a lot in this book that shows her having responsibility, but I think that especially when she's like, I want to make sure that that's still on, that I'm not at risk for anything, that, like, whether it's diseases or pregnancy, that she's just like, okay, it's there, all right, we're good, okay, I can relax a little now. So I do think that's a good thing to have there, even though I have to tell you about my gross story when a guy loves me. But it's awkward, and sex is awkward, and it was really nice to see that awkwardness here. That it wasn't like, oh, this beautiful moment when I suddenly got deflowered and everything bloomed to life.
Yeah, because she also like she doesn't like she kind right where she doesn't like see her first time as like it has to be this like super perfect thing. Yeah,
roses and
yeah. She's like she kind of
candy.
has like a just get over with so I can like stop worrying about it kind of idea, which I'm like that's how I felt.
Yes. Yeah. I love when her brother comes in. He's like, oh.
I love that. I was like, this guy's the coolest dude.
So
He's like, things I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, you're like underage. So, uncle. Yo, Skip.
I felt awesome. I felt so bad for Skip. Skip's just like pounding. He's double fisting beers immediately. I was like, oh, dude. I was like there was like stuff like that. That I was like, yeah, no, that's probably an accurate.
Yeah,
Skip
Skip especially because he's like, they were supposed to be here for a week. One beer, just one single week. Next beer.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Well, so we kind of mentioned, but I also liked. I think this is definitely the first book I've read where, like weed's legal. So like it wasn't like used as a way like how do you know that they're like the like rebellious cool character? They're smoking a J.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like it's a legal thing. So like the smoke when she's smoking with her aunt, and her aunt's like no, and she's like it's legal. Who cares? And she's like but you're a kid like. That having that conversation, well, I was like, wow, that's like cool to read, since it's set in Colorado where weed's legal.
I liked that too because you're right. Every time weed comes up in a book or cigarettes, period, it's like, well, that's the cool kid. That's the dark
He's from
guy.
the dark side of the
He's
tracks.
from the other
Yeah.
sid of the tracks. Like it
Which,
is.
like,
It
they're-
absolutely became
yeah.
trope. You're right.
And it's like because like this, there's already so much like she goes to the other side of the tracks. That's like where the town is, which is but it's also like a ski town. So like I kept thinking of Incline Village the entire time.
No, you're right because in the description they're talking about the rundown part of Breckenridge. I'm like, that's a fucking ski resort
She's
town.
in ski. Yeah, I was like, you're not slumming it. Get the fuck up.
No part of that setting felt run down to me.
None.
It felt like suburbia.
Yeah, which is why
I
I'm
legitimately
like,
was just picturing like Blue Mountain or Camelback and just like
yeah.
they're just hanging out.
All right. So
So
my main problem with it is Annie's characterization
okay.
and how throughout the book she very rarely has any autonomy to figure out what the fuck happened with her father.
Yeah, she just seems stupid.
Yes.
I was like, you're like. She didn't seem like she wanted. Like she seemed like she wanted ignorance
Yes.
while complaining about not knowing anything.
Yes.
And the one time that she made the choice to go out and
That the information literally gets beaten into her.
yes,
But she like doesn't absorb it. So the information
still
is
doesn't.
all
Like-
around her.
Like-
all around her.
literally she has a phone in her pocket. She could just Google her goddamn dad's name.
There's also
Yeah, they act like it's only on the news, like as if it wouldn't. Yeah, your
As
phone-
if you can't just like check Twitter
Yeah.
or whatever.
like
there's that scene early on. We were talking about clothes earlier, and there's that scene where
when
she goes
she-
to buy new clothes and she uses the credit card, and they're like, Tripp, oh, like what's his face Tripp that fucked over everybody down here, and she's like, nope, just a coincidence, and then she takes out cash, and I'm like, okay, like
So you
smart.
know.
So you know,
But
But then later on at the dinner, she's just like, "Oh, I thought to take out cash." I'm like, "You more proud of the fact that you thought to take out cash than you are of the fact that you were in danger for having the same name." And that's the part that really rubbed me wrong way. Like nothing seemed to set in, and then she goes to work at her uncle's the bar and
yeah,
grill,
the restaurant,
and
the like super nice steak place that like again I'm like it's run down yet they're like serving lobster.
Yeah.
and like, I was like,
yeah, it doesn't fit exactly.
Yeah, like-
But there's all that, and everybody in that kitchen has been affected by her father's decisions, and they're all like, "Oh, like yeah, my dad gave this." Well, Bros specifically is
Yeah.
not going to college because he's staying to work.
clear as day what is going on there. Like,
Yeah,
She's just dumb. She's
and
not
she,
picking it up.
it's so clear. Like, I was like, oh, like her dad lost his job. I was like, oh, her dad got fucked over by your dad.
Yep.
You dummy. And then she's like, how? Who you could have like detect the like Pikachu meme of like what? I was like,
Who could possibly have done it?
Yeah,
He like little fainting couch in the corner. And like,
Yeah.
oh no, it was my father. And then even when other things come out, right? When she finds out that her aunt had donated eggs, like
I was like, I laughed. Like, I know it's supposed to be like this serious. I was like, you're so dumb.
yeah,
That's
actually,
how it felt because it was.
things were literally given to her and spelled out, and she was still like, I don't know what the problem is.
She's the like personal Wheel of Fortune that they're like.
They got one letter left.
There's
and they
one
go,
letter left, and they're like, "What could this be?" And it's like, it's heartbreak. It's the word heartbreak. Heartbreak, and they're like, I'm gonna ask, can I get a Z? And you're like, what word has Z in it? You like, she's.
No, that's actually really the best metaphor for how she goes throughout this.
Yeah,
And
like,
it really angered me, especially in the YA setting, because there are so many YA characters that fall flat on the page like that, where information comes to them, and this information came to her, and then she did nothing with it.
Yeah, like, there's no reason that she shouldn't have been able to just Google it. Like, she has that power. She could have done, literally fucking anything to find out what was going on, but she was just like, no.
She didn't even have to type it. She could have used Google Voice and just been like, hey Google, what the fuck did my father do? Like,
yeah, because like it's treated as if like the only way she can receive information is if she's watching the news, but they always like turn the TV off as she walks in and sees her dad, and then like I'm like, hey, turn the TV back on. Like, you bought the TV because you still have no idea of like how money works because you're still fucking crazy. Like, the level of wealth that she had really made me not like. I was like, most of your problems can be solved with money. I was like, you're on vacation in a vacation town. Like, you really, realistically, she had no problems because even like when she's in danger, she's not. Like, she's in danger, like, could potentially be, but none of the scenes that she, like, has to deal with what her dad did, she's in danger. Like, what, the old lady at the boutique is gonna, like, what, yell at you and then you walk out because you're rich and you don't actually care, like...
yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking about something while reading through it, where it's like, most YA characters come from middle class or below.
Yeah.
And
real people.
Yeah, real people
Yeah.
is right. And I'm like, okay, like I understand, if you're from that particular social class, you are completely unrepresented in young adult, middle grade children's books. But you got money, you can hire somebody to write your fucking own. I just
she has help.
Yeah,
like she literally like that's
she has help is right.
like she has like not like just like she has like help as in people that do things for her. Like I've met one person that has help and she's like the worst. Like that she grew up with help and she's like the worst and
No, it's true. It's a whole class that aren't represented. But it's really weird because I'm like, I'm okay with you not being represented because you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't
need representation.
You don't need representation.
You have help.
And the only way that I would have been more fine with this is if, Annie's like, oh my god, my father is a terrible person. And she comes to that a lot sooner than this last little, 50 pages down here. It just took too long for her to come around that this behavior was not okay, that this show of money was not okay, that there are so many people who suffer.
You would think her actual best friend punching her in the face and judo flipping her would have driven that home.
But also, on that note, her friend forgives her in that same scene.
Yep. Because, her friends still, like, even if they lost some money. Like, they clearly didn't lose so much money that they're, like, fucked. Like, they treat Kansas like it's, like, a wasteland, which, like, I mean, it is Kansas. But,
no,
like,
listen, I've been to Montana. Montana is the wasteland.
Yeah, like, it's like you're still...
Not sorry.
But, like, literally, it's page 127 where she, like... So it takes 127 pages for her to, like, even think about the fact that, like... Maybe we, like, really fucked people over. And she, like, thinks about it for...
That's, like,
about
halfway
a
through the
paragraph.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah. About.
And that's the first time for her to even
That's
come
when
close to that.
she's getting beat. She
Yeah.
literally just got the shit kicked out of her. And now she's...
That's what I mean. It took
like,
actually getting it punched into her face.
for her to even, like, kind of think about it and then immediately...
Forget it.
Goes back to, like... It's, like, such a... backhanded, like, to struggling people. Like, when she's talking about... When she's in Brose's car. Or in Brose's truck. And it, like, takes a while to, like, back up. And, like, she treats manual like it's, like, a poor person's car. Is like most rich cars like are.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. Have you ever seen a Porsche?
Yeah, I was like, they're like manual. So I was like, all right, whatever. But like, she's like, like if my brother's car was struggling, he would just get rid of it and get a new one, which is like such a huge, like a crazy level of wealthy.
Well, okay, so she has that, but also at the beginning of the book when she's in the boutique, when she sees the girl and the girl's like, oh, Mom, can we get this? And Mom's like, that's way too expensive. She's like, next time you have to pick something that's more expensive. And then that makes that, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that was, I expected that behavior to change. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's like, it doesn't.
She's still like a snobby rich kid. I was like, you're a tourist. Like, you're in a tourist town and you're a tourist. And like,
You're a fucking shoebie and I hate you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for the fucking... Take your shoes off when you get to the beach. Like, she was. And I was like, when that was like when it sucked because I was like, all right, I was like finally starting to be like, all right, maybe she's gonna like chill the fuck out and like become like realize like what it means to be like human or something. Like, like this is about when she should start that, like where it's in the book. And she's like in the truck with bros, and then she makes that comment, and I was like, "Oh, you're just like a piece of shit. Like, you're not getting better. Like, there's the reason you're not getting better is because you can't polish a turd, and like just because your turd has glitter and diamonds in it, like it's still shit. And like, it's such like it was a weird like I felt backhanded praise of like struggling, like where it like kind of is writing to like be like, look how like when people are struggling, like they can do it. I don't know why I'm making hand gestures. This is a recording. That's not going to help.
On the podcast, you're like rocking your inner team skull from Pokemon.
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
Spin to spin. Woo!
But it's like told in a way that it's like a backhanded like. I'm like, fuck you, Annie.
It was essentially to poor people how a lot of people talk to black people in the ghetto, where they're like, if you work hard and you believe in yourself, you can overcome all of this. And it's like, could you maybe just like shut the fuck up? Yeah. Like, but. Yeah. I mean, my review's up in our first dueling review. I'm very excited we finally got to do that. I've wanted to do that since we started. But, anywho,
it's a dueling review, so we have my review on one side, her review on the other side.
I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what words are.
Yeah, so, on the website, if you go to booked.allnight.blog, our written review of Testimony of Your Perfect Girl are written side by side. So you can see Maggie liked it, and I did not.
Oh, so we're shitting on it, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with all of
okay.
the points.
I was like, man, I feel like Maggie.
No, I 100% agree.
Maggie.
Like, I just because I gave it 4 stars, like, I'm not saying that it didn't have its problems. Like, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars because I was surprised by how much I liked it.
Yeah.
Because as we've mentioned on this podcast a million times before, neither of us like contemporary.
The boy does, though.
That's why we were like, we'll bring Dan in. We'll give him all the terrible contemporary books.
I'm like, this is like real life, except Annie Tripp doesn't live in real life. She does a polished version of it.
And that's where, like, I was torn about some stuff because there are absolutely some very awkward, very true scenes, especially about sex, and I really did love
the whole
the sex
egg
positivity.
donor. Yeah, the egg donor conversation. I was like, this is dope. Like, them just like talking about like, and it not being like a
hush hush kind of.
Yeah, like they were just like discussing.
My other favorite thing was when she was talking to her uncle. I think it was after the sex or after she got home real late, like after going out. And he was like, well, how would your brother get punished for doing this? Yep. And she was just like, he probably would be grounded for like a week. He's like, great, that's what's happening to you. Like, was very adamant about the fact that like she wasn't going to be vilified for having sex. Yep. Where if her brother was the one who had the sex, he would have been like, oh yeah, high five, good job, bro. And she would have been like, you're not supposed to be having sex. You know, keep your legs closed.
Yeah, because she has like she kind of realizes like that she's never had to talk with her parents about sex. Like her talk with her mom is just like, never get your period or you'll get which I was like why do you like these people, like which then turns into the egg donor kind of conversation where she's like, oh no, can you be my mom? And I'm like, that's what I mean by the egg donor conversation, because her aunt is like, no, it's like asking your neighbor to borrow like
Some
sugar
sugar
to make a cake. And then like she's like, no, it's not. It's about making a baby. And she's like, literally, all right, it's like asking your neighbor to borrow eggs to make a cake. And I was like, yeah.
She's like, I see this was a little too high for you to get.
Yes,
I
was like, yo, Aunt Nicole, you need to get down on one knee and talk to her in the face.
Diagrams and everything.
Yup, you need
puppets, maybe.
Because I was like, Annie is dumb. Like, for someone who allegedly is like, because that's, to get back to like her being like a weird character, she's like a smart, like she gets good grades, allegedly,
Okay,
but then
so-
she's dumb as bricks.
All right.
Like-
So there is a difference
Yes.
between being
There's-
book smart and being street smart. Because my valedictorian for my class was very book smart, but very, very dumb when it came to literally everything else.
Yeah, she's
so.
this-
That's where I see Annie. Annie is smart. She can be book smart. She can get good grades. She can be in the running for valedictorian all she fucking wants.
Mm-hmm.
But as we see here, when it
She
comes
has no
to
life skills and no life
Yeah.
experience to then, inform her
or
life
drive
skills.
to get life experience.
Yeah, but she like
Ding, 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 ding,
has
ding.
this weird.
outside of I gave you a blowjob.
But like she has the help that like she talks about how they like taught her how to cook.
Yes.
And like all it, and there's like these little things I'm like, they didn't talk to like you didn't even like ask like for someone who's like weirdly curious about sex, you like if you're not getting the she never again pursued to
Also,
gain
I would like to
information.
state one more time, Google exists in this
yeah.
universe.
But that's what I was saying, that this autonomy for her was completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
She gets things handed to her,
Yes.
and she does not, go back in and do her own thing. She doesn't want to try and find her own shit. She just waits for something to be given to her.
Yes.
Yeah. Like she really doesn't. I don't know. There's like no actual solving done by her. Everything is handed to her. All of the and then all the problems she has aren't problems because there's a definite solution that she's going back to school. She's leaving.
Yeah.
Like so she doesn't. All of her problems are temporary anyway, and so it was like really a case of like I don't.
Yeah.
They're not only are they temporary, but the consequences that she would have to face, because she's going back to school, she just doesn't have to face them.
Yeah.
Much like I imagine her father probably won't have to face his own consequences.
Yeah.
Outside of like a public trial,
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing with her romances, quote unquote, and the egg donating and finding that information out, I felt like it really overshadowed any potential consequences of her father's case. And while this is Annie's story, we want to focus on Annie because she never the whole thing, her whole reason for going to this other side of Breckenridge is because of her father's trial, and we never find out information about it.
Nope.
We get a little bit of like, oh, well, he was hiding money in his own private account, and that's the last we hear of it.
Yeah.
I think everything else absolutely overshadowed getting to what was originally the plot.
Yeah, the plot just like disappears.
Yes.
So that she can sit in a hot tub and eat ice cream.
And suck dick in the woods.
I've talked a lot
She
of shit
gave
on
him a
Annie
blowjob,
Tripp.
Davis.
I've talked a lot of shit on Annie Tripp. She might be my girl. I did like the aunt's advice of just be with it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, look, I think this is the heart of your book. But, like, that's also the problem that she already has. Like, she didn't need that advice because that's all she does is be with it. I was like, this advice to someone else would be great. And I was like, I really like that line. But then that's all she does is be with stuff and then is able to just let it go.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's very much a certain privilege there. Not just with the money.
Yeah,
But the ability to just be like, oh, I don't have to think about this for like the next 10 years as I try to fall asleep. You know?
Like the one thing where she's like, has the one scene where she says like, oh, I used to be like counting down the days. Now it's like getting too close and I'm gonna leave. And like when I read that, I was like, I could feel it trying to be like, oh, like I've really learned to love this place, man. And I'm like, yeah, the same way like anyone who goes on vacation is like, oh no, I have to leave soon, like because you're in a vacation town, like you're not.
I have to go home to my comfy bed instead of this feather bed.
Boo. Yeah. It just I don't know. I did not.
Yeah, it was there. I mean, what what would you rate it? Because we talked about it before. Like I said a 4 stars. Jessica has 2. What would you rate it, Dan?
I'm like, not to be like, oh, a 3. Like, a little less, like a 2.5, because like there's some good parts about it. Like I would like, I don't know, when I read, especially when I read like young adult, I like always think about it like using it in a classroom. Could I use this in a classroom?
Yeah.
This, like, you know, the foul language would kind of like nix it, but
you don't want your children to read gutter sluts?
yeah, like I don't want them, because they'll start calling each other.
You don't want them to shout down the hallway,
I gave you a blowjob!
Yeah, you know, if it kept looking for a last scout, that's not going to get. But like, there were some scenes that like could be told, like individual chapters that I really loved, like when she's talking to her aunt Ever. I think those scenes are great. When she talks to Skip is great, but the overall story, I was like, I don't care about the rich. So
there's not a lot of rereadability about it either.
No.
like it was kind of like there's scenes that I was like, I don't.
Like I would just snip out the sex scenes and then that's about it.
Yeah, like the sex,
Which were oddly enough our favorite scenes.
yeah, the ones that we were like all my, I don't know, all my notes, like I have
Yeah, most of my
most
notes
are negative notes, like they're little minus signs. Not like in my positives are like I'm like questioning if it should be a plus, because like except for the like sex scenes and like the sexual, like the positivity where she, like her uncle, when Skip's like, oh, like how would you be treated? How would he be treated? Like that, I was like, cool, and like that being normal. But then like everything else, where she's like this rich kid that shows up, and like as a person who worked in a restaurant for 6 years, to then see like some knowing the like Nats and the Annies that come in and just do it because like for shigs and gigs.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, actually, you could go fuck off. Like, I'm glad Nat.
Yeah.
Like,
I legitimately once worked with the son of a very rich person at my last job, and he was insufferable.
yeah, I'm like,
Literally would come home and be like, I fucking hate him.
yeah.
Just because he was there. Oh, I'm just here for shits and giggles. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I have payments and
Yeah, like
student loans and things.
The-
you know?
I'm doing this so I can eat later, but thank you.
yeah, like I was working at a that's why I did love Bros. Like I was like, because how she describes him at first, and she like tries to make him seem like an asshole, like a Bros.
I think it was very obvious. I'm like, you're gonna
I was like,
fall in love.
you want to
with Bros.
suck his dick? Shut up.
In the woods,
Like,
and then you want to come to work the next day and shout about it.
yeah, but like Bros was like, he's like a very like I was like, he's the coolest character in the book in my opinion. Like, which I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I picked the like white cisgender straight male dude, of course. But like he was just like, you know, he was like, no, I had to fucking give up college so I could work in this restaurant because your dad fucked me over. Which that was the only part I was like, dude, you fucked her once. Like, she wasn't that good. You know it. I know it. Get over it. Like, she's not even that cool of a person. I don't know why you're like hanging out with her at all, or like any of it.
It's her athletic body and ability to intestinify shrimp.
Right? Yeah. And I'm like, she scoops shrimp
Pull
poop.
out, yeah.
And like
Real
that's.
good.
But like I'm watching. I'm like, she like fucked your life. Like, when I worked at a restaurant, I was taking one college class, and I was in community college, barely able to afford it. He was going to Boulder, which is like a expensive school, and like now you have to do this. Like she fucking, like, her family fucking ruined your life, and you're like, yeah, but I got to put my penis in her. And I'm like, bro, I get it, but like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. Like, he was, and then because she's just the rich kid, and like Nat's the same way, and I'm like, knowing them and like having worked with them, and like the same kids that would ask me like, oh, like, so you only take like one class? And I'm like, yeah, that's all I can fucking afford, dude. Like, because I'm not going to take loans at a community college. You know,
I will
like,
say this about the one class, right? So there's two people that are taking one class. There's people like you that are like, I have to work for the rest of the day. I can afford to take one. I'll still have time to do the homework for this. Blah 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 blah. And then there's people like my father, who when he took one sociology class, and they had him read a chapter a week. He was like, there's so much work. And at the time I was an English... Yeah, exactly. At the time I was an English major, I was reading 6 books a week.
Yeah.
And doing all the papers on them. And I was like, too much reading. My sister got up from the table. She's like, I'll be back in an hour. I'm like, too much reading? Like, you're in you're in a sociology class.
You don't even have to read it. Actually.
You don't even have to read it. You're
In the
looking
headings.
for fucking bold font and statistics around it, and you can't hack it. Like, and there's absolutely a privilege there where it's like, well, I'm just taking this class for me and on a lark, and it's like I'm taking it because I want to go somewhere, not because I feel like doing something with my Thursday night. So, like, go fuck yourself. I feel like Annie would absolutely be I decided to take, like, this Russian lit class in the middle of the night because it would happen to work into my schedule so I can sleep all day kind of person.
Yep.
Where,
like, she doesn't even know what she wants to go to college for. Like, because she's never had to think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I knew, like, since I was 4 that I had to go to college if I wanted to, like, not.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, and, like, it's such a, like, mindset difference, which, like, part of me is like, no, I like reading about experiences that I don't have. Like, I like reading that because then it's a way to experience it without having to experience it. But, like, I did not enjoy reading about someone that is so well off that, like, she has no actual problems.
Yes.
Then I'm like, and meanwhile I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still in debt up to my eyeballs. Like, you. Yeah. Like.
Listen,
I assumed I'm actually just brought on so that there's a quota for talking about SNC and reading 10 books.
You gotta get it on there. You gotta get it on there. So say you're in what college?
I go to Sierra Nevada College and they're writing children, young adults. I'm in my 4th, or going to my 4th residency in August. That's why I know Pablo and Joe.
How many books do you read?
Read 10 books a month. I am front loading right now, just getting.
It legitimately took me until about 2 months ago or a month and a half ago to get out of the burnout from reading 10 books a month.
Yeah. I'm like,
it was insane.
My
like,
students are like, weren't you reading a different book? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading a different book.
Yeah, I was. And they're like, oh.
You got a problem with it? You got another book? You got a book? You got a book?
They're like, Mr. Davis, why do you, like, they, like, pick up my, reusable satchel bag that I got on Independent Bookstore Day. I fucking hate myself. And they're like, why is this so heavy? I was like, there's books in there. And they're like, for us? And I'm like, no. And they're like, how many books can you read? Yeah, like, they're like, how many books can you read at a time? And then, like, they're like, there's more books. Like, Mr. Davis, sit down.
When I was doing one of my field experiences when I was still an ed major, the 6th grade classroom I was observing was reading Number the Stars, and I hadn't read Number the Stars.
Feel the same.
Yeah. So at the lunch period, I read Number the Stars. So when they came back, because that period was split, I'm like, okay, so I read it over lunch. They're like, excuse me? Yeah. They'd been reading it for weeks because they do like a chapter a night.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And they're like, wait. You, like, the whole thing. Like, like, the whole thing. They're like, but it's so long. I'm like, it's like 100 pages, and the font is as big as my fucking thumbnail.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, I should probably read this because, like, they did a book club and I did the same thing. I was like, they're like, all right, we're gonna, and I missed the, like, read a chapter so we could discuss it, and I just
read the whole thing.
Finished it and was like, so I'm not coming to this book club if you're gonna take 20 weeks to discuss this goddamn book. Like,
but that's all right. So from the teacher standpoint, like, of course you want to do it slowly because you have to accommodate to the slowest student in your class. Yeah. Fine.
And you want to eat up as much of the school year as possible.
Yes.
Ideally on a book you like.
Fine. The problem was, like, even when I started getting into reading, and we would do that, I would go home and I would read the book. And then I would finish the whole packet worth of information that we were given to fill out about the book. And then I would sit there for the double period and do nothing. A whole bunch of fucking nothing. And I'd be like, can I go, like, wander around the school? Like, can I go to lunch? Somebody else's lunch? Can I do that?
See, if there was a movie version, I watched the movie and I just stopped reading books in 7th grade and didn't pick up a book again and read it until 12th grade, because every book in school has a movie. And, like, as we're gonna, watch the Hunger Games later, but like, because I'd be like, why? Because, like, even you read the book, again, it takes you what, a month because you read a chapter a day,
if you
and then
do
you
it
watch the movie
with
for
this
3.
class.
Yeah, you watch the movie for 3 days, and that's seen as this reward. And I'm like, so I can watch the movie and like kind of get a B.
We did Dorian Gray when I was in high school, which was a nice reprieve from fucking Mice and Men. No, all right. So when I was going through school, they were redoing the curriculum in my school district. So I read of Mice and Men in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, 12th, and again when I got to college because I had American Lit survey classes, and I was like, I hate this book. I don't know what answers you want from me anymore because you're like, is it foreshadowing? I'm like, I don't know. Is it?
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Is this foreshadowing my life? Why is this?
Yeah, why is this book even... I fucking hate Mice and Men. In any case, we read Dorian Gray, and the night before we were supposed to be discussing it was the Angela Lansbury, 1940-something movie production on AMC, and I'm like, oh, good. And my teacher brought it in when we were done, and it's really obnoxious to listen to her sing. Like, when she's that young. Like, Angela Lansbury rocks. But that whole movie is crap. And nobody read the book. So they're going to the theater and they're watching her sing and like, oh my god, I can't listen to this fucking song anymore. I'm like, good news, in 5 minutes someone's gonna fucking kill her. And then it's like principal's office. I'm like, ugh. And my principal's like, do you know why you got sent down here? I'm like, yeah, for spoiling the plot. And they're like, no. No, Jessica. No, we need to have a little talk. Just a little PSA.
Oh, Jessica. Yeah. Oh, I think that's about all the time we have for tonight. Check out the links in the show notes to follow the show or connect with us personally on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit bookedallnight.blog for more book reviews, blog tours, and roundups.
And blowjobs.
And blowjobs.
That's what I've been brought in.
To
give, not receive.
Join us next time.
We can do those now. We have Davis.
My dad listens to this podcast. I'm sorry, Dad. Is this what you wanted me to do with my life? Is this why you immigrated to this country? Whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts, make sure you drop a 5-star review of the show.
Drop right on down to your knees for a 5-star review of the show.
Good night, my little gutter sluts. This was a mistake.
Good night. Do you think Annie said goodnight to Nat after the blowjob?
No, they hold hands and then he lets her go.
I don't remember that part.
That's how they walk up to the party and he just does the and walks away.
Oh, I totally did not read that part.
Yeah,
not
he just
even a good night.
Doesn't say good night. The next thing he says to her is, "So we gonna smoke or not?"